Do you have any papers in your stash with 4x4 squares? Today I want to share an idea for using up these 4x4 squares quickly because I have an 8x8 pad that came with 6 sheets of the same 4x4 squares. So I need a fast idea. Hi, I'm Jess from JessCrafts.com and I'm here to help you make the most of your crafty supplies and time. So let's get making. Today I want to share with you 8x8 paper busting template number 6. It does make 3 cards with 3 A2 size cards with no scraps from one sheet of 8x8 paper, and I have shared it previously but not with these 4x4 squares, so I want to show you how I would use it with 4x4 square paper. First step is just going to be to cut all of these into their 4x4 squares. Now the thing about this is I cannot use all 4 squares for their squareness, for their as intended or as shown, but I have to take one of them and use its backside. Now, if that's not something that you personally want to do, I totally get it. And instead of using the backside of one of them, you can just get an extra piece of paper or dip into your scraps, particularly if you have scraps from the same collection, and still make this idea because it's a really, really flexible idea. But I do want to show you it as the sketch does, as the sketch intends, as I show you in the sketch, because I have 6 sheets of this. There's plenty. And so if some of them aren't used, if I don't use all of them for their pretty side, it's totally okay. I'm going to make an excessive amount of cards anyway, so I don't necessarily need to be pulling in some new sheets of paper. Now, in addition to picking this pattern paper, I did pick one color of cardstock that I think will work for all the cards, and I'm going to make an absolutely massive amount of cards today. I'm not going to necessarily film every second of every card, but I do want to just get it done because I have so many of these. And I picked a gray cardstock to coordinate with this. Now, some of them have they have the gray and the yellow in the background. So I thought, well, what color should I be picking? Because I do want it to stand off. So I know that these white ones will stand off the gray really well, because there's enough of a contrast there. But then perhaps this one will blend a little bit more into the gray. I think that's okay, but if you want to, you could bring in a different color of background cardstock for those. And again, if you're working, and I obviously realize you're not going to be working the same exact paper pad, but you can pick multiple colors of cardstock. I tend to not do that just because I like to keep things simple, and I think that while it might pop off a second color a little bit more, the benefit is pretty minimal compared to the organization that it might take to have multiple colors of cardstock to go with multiple backgrounds. Okay, so as I said, I shared this one before, but for those of you who have a bunch of 8x8 paper that you want to use up, I actually have now I have 10 templates. So we're only on number 6. I've only shared 6 so far on YouTube. I will be sharing the other ones in coming weeks. So you're going to see 7, 8, 9, 10. There'll be 4 new ones coming in the next coming weeks. If you want to just get them all now, then you can go to the Etsy shop, and 8x8 paper busting templates 1 through 10 are on sale. They're part of my Halloween sale, so they're on sale through Halloween of 2023, and they're 31% off. I picked 13 items for 31% off as a sort of fun Halloween promotion, so you can just go pick those up real quick, and it's only a couple bucks, and then you don't have to worry about entering your email and downloading them all and doing that over the couple weeks. You don't have to worry about missing any of them, and you can just get to work probably using up an entire 8x8 paper pad because you'll have 10 different no scrap ideas and you'll have no scraps left with them. So then I need to take my cardstock and I'm going to cut that to a bunch of 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 inch squares. So because that's 1/4 inch bigger than what I'm working with here. Therefore, I need an 8.5 by 11 inch square from my 8.5 by 11. So I've cut the 11 inch side to 8.5, and now I can get 4 squares perfectly out of that. So cut it to 4 1/4, 4 1/4. I'll keep doing this, and then This is a pretty sizable chunk, and I didn't want to cut it any smaller. I wanted to leave it as big as possible because I could use it for the mats along the top and bottom. And I could also just save it as a relatively large scrap for a future project. I'm gonna cut a whole bunch more of the mats, and then we will move on to the next step. So my next step is to pick so I had 6 sheets of paper. And so for each sheet of paper, according to the sketch, I need one of the squares to be cut smaller. So I need to sacrifice 6 of these. And I'm just gonna pick one of each one time. So that way I have a good variety. Although I do like that this says you're a hoot. It means I'm not gonna have to add a sentiment. So I think I'll actually like keep all 6 of those just to save myself that trouble. So then I guess I'll pick, of the other 3 designs, I'll pick each one twice, and then that's 6. And that way I have, yeah, that makes that my decision making process easy. Of course, again, you can go and take another piece of paper or some scraps and do something else instead and use all 4 of these and just follow the sketch part and less the cutting part. But I do like to show you how to do it without scraps, especially because you also might not have these 4x4 squares. Okay, so what you're gonna do is you need some pieces to finish covering the card. So we'll take a card. You'll see here that most of the card is actually going to be covered because this square is 4 1/4 by 4 1/4, and then it fits that with a little 1/4 inch around it. And then you need a little bit for the top and a little bit for the bottom. If you measure this, in actuality, it only needs to be, so from 2 to 3, this strip of paper that's covering here at the top and bottom only needs to be about 1 inch. However, to do a no scrap version, I said, well, we could make it 1 1/3 and that won't leave scrap. So we could take a 4x4 piece of paper, we could cut it to 2x4 and then cut it into thirds, and that would allow us to have enough for the top and bottom. You, of course, do not need to do that, so you can, again, just use 1 by 2 inch scraps. You can even use scraps that are a little less wide. You can, I mean, heck, you could just leave the card like that. Like, you could just put it on there and be done with the card. That's fine. It's whatever you want to do. You can make, 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 inch square cards with just this design. It's, totally whatever you want to do. But I will then bring it to, this is 1 1/4. So I went 1 inch over and then a 1/4 inch over. I could cut it there, or I say, well, 1 1/3 is a little bit bigger, so just bring it a little bit past that. And the same thing over here. And then I have these pieces that I'm going to need for the top and the bottom. And then for the mats, I wanted, since I didn't need to make it perfectly no scrap, I decided I would make it a more like round measurement that's easier for you to do. So I recommended for the mats, and so then you can go back to those scraps of cardstock that we made earlier when we made the other mats. We can say they need to be 2 inches, or sorry, 2 1/4 inches, because this is 2 inches wide, and I want a little bit 1/4 inch on each side, or 1/8 of an inch. It's a 1/4 inch bigger, so that makes 1/8 on each side. And then cut that to 2 1/4. And then I said, take this and this one just cut to 1 inch, because I figured that would be a little bit faster to do and might be like a really good way to use up some cardstock scraps you have. So I'm just bringing it down 1 inch from the last measurement each time. And then I will have a whole bunch to work with. Now, this last one here is actually 1.5 inches. And so rather than cutting a 1/2 inch off it, I can also just use that piece as is so that I'm not worried about creating more scraps. So if I strictly follow the sketch and everything that I've shown you before, I've cut the white and I can just adhere to the back of them and make some rather plain cards in the sense of there's not really any added here. I'm just using it as a white piece of paper. Now, I know that's not for everyone. I'm gonna show one as intended, and then I'm gonna give you an idea for how I would quickly change that up. One thing I think you could quickly do to change that up is just to add some ink to it, add a spritz, just literally like spray it with sparkle spray or distress oxide spray or throw some watercolor on. Oh, this is really thin paper, so watercolor might not be the most ideal. But in terms of assembling this card, it is really easy to line it up if you have a mat like this, a grid mat. Mine in particular has that A2 outline. It's from scrapbook.com, and therefore I can say, okay, well, here's my A2 size card, and this is 2 inches, so I just line it up with those markings. They're 1/2 inch wide, and I know really reliably that my top and bottom are in the center of the card. And then I can add this. Now, something you might want to do is take another scrap of cardstock and place it behind here, because this this panel might kind of dip under the cardstock. It's really not a big deal. I have often adhered it without this extra bit, but I do like to mention that choice. So here is what the card would look like if we just kept it as white paper. This is also a great way to use like ugly paper. You could just use it as white on the back. You could mat things with it, etc. But what I would probably do, you know, I'm gonna make a few because I cut out that one square as white just to show you as intended. But what I would probably do is I would take some of these sheets that I'm going to cut up, and I'm gonna make a really fast pattern paper with them. I have some background stamps. This one is an old one from Impression Obsession, and it's one of those ones I could never get rid of because it's just so practical. It's just some snowflakes, and I'm gonna be able to make a really quick 4x4 piece of patterned paper with this. So I'm taking some Lawn Fawn ink. I don't own a lot of large ink pads, which does make inking backgrounds kind of time consuming, but I just don't use them very much. My ink pads, that is, so I can't justify the space. I need more space for paper, basically. So I have inked that up. I've put the white side down, and then I'm gonna take a scrap piece of paper and cover it and just kind of like rub all over the stamp. You could use your Misty, you could use a brayer. This to me is like the fastest, especially if you have like a recycling bin in your craft room. You just grab a piece of scrap paper like that and flip it over. And now I have some really, really easy patterned paper that I can then cut up into those little strips for the bottom. So I'll cut that in half and then to those 1 1/3 marks. Now my paper happened to work really well with a snowflake background stamp, and a snowflake background stamp is, you know, probably a pretty common thing. Like, well, I said that one's old, but I'm sure you can go find another one. However, you might have a completely different patterned paper pack that you're working with, and I recommend, and this is something I hold on to as well, some dots. So I have a Hero Arts dot one. I have this one that has like a very basic sort of starburst pattern for similar reasons. Little hearts are great, stripes, that kind of thing. I don't have like terribly many of them. This one from Ink Blot Shop is great. It's a lot of coverage, but it will match with a lot of different pattern papers that are out there. So, you know, a couple of ones like that in your collection for those fast pattern making times can be really great. They also help for like, I know a lot of us, we have a ton of pattern paper. I mean, that's probably why you're here at my channel. You love pattern paper like me, so you're thinking like, why do I need background stamps like that? Of course you don't need them, but that was one way, or one reason I hang on to them, even though I am a big proponent of using pattern paper and I use a ton of pattern paper. The last thing I wanted to talk about is, for these ones, this one doesn't have a sentiment. So I did choose to keep all the Eurahoots because they just have the sentiment. I have said this before, I'll always say it. Well, you know, I'll always remember to say it, whatever. You don't need a sentiment. Sorry, just dropped something. I'll pick that up later. You don't always need a sentiment. Like, you can totally send a card without a sentiment. But this one came with some sentiment strips. I think that's the easiest thing to do in this situation is to, in this case, add the sentiment strip directly from the paper pad, especially because I have them. Like, I need to use these because there's also 6 sheets of sentiments with this. Luckily, a lot of them are gray, so they will match a lot of other things. And so I probably want to use one of the yellow ones since they're less likely to match future cards. So like I could like cut all the gray ones and put them aside, and I could probably match them with many, many future cards and patterned paper packs. But these yellow ones might be a little bit harder to match up in the future. So let's take advantage and use one of these yellow ones. Okay, so here is my dilemma. And I like to talk about design decisions because this is something that helped me a lot when I was learning how to make cards, in terms of making cards that I felt like looked more like the cards I was seeing online that I loved. Okay, so the owl, his eyes are facing that way off the card. This is a little less than ideal. I would prefer his eyes to look down at the fold of the card. But in this instance, that's just not going to happen. And I would also often want the character's eyes to be looking at a sentiment or helping you to move around the card. That tends to look good. Of course, you don't need to do that. I mean, it just didn't work out that time, and this is fine. So what I'm going to do, though, is still try to think about balancing the card. So the owl is mostly here on the left side. So if I'm going to add something extra to the card, I want to add it to the right side to keep it balanced. So even though it's going to they're kind of like in opposite directions, that still works out in terms of visual balance. And then the other thing about it is your sentiment is going to kind of lean or point you towards his direction. So I'll show you what I mean here. I'm going to take my sentiment and I'm going to cut the banner or cut a little strip in it such that it hasn't like a point. And I'm going to have that point kind of point at the owl to sort of direct your attention around the card. It's one of those things where like when I first heard people talk about all this kind of stuff, I was like, does that really matter? And then as I tried to follow that kind of stuff and keep it in mind, I felt like my cards turned out, you know, like I just liked them better. I don't want to say they are better. Like, I mean, I think it's really hard to evaluate anything handmade, but if you like your cards better, great. You know, that's the only value judgment I'm going to put on that, is that if you're happier, then great. And if you're happy just putting it on wherever, that's also great. So pointing that down to him. And then that is my other example of the card. So I think, yeah, that little bit of stamping really makes a difference. But if you want to go super fast, that's also an option, or bringing in those scraps. So in the end, because I made 3 cards for each sheet of paper, I have 18 cards, all complete. And this is something you'd probably do in an hour or two, because it's just, once you kind of get going, it's really easy to follow through. And then you have a lot of sheets of paper that you have now busted from your collection. If you found this video helpful, here's another video where you can find more ideas for enjoying your crafty time and supplies. Let me know you like this video to share it to your crafty community. Subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss the next template or tutorial, and check the video description for product links. See you in the next video.